I live it. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Back to Scoot on WWL. Call 504-260-1870. Text 870-870 or tweet at Scoot WWL. And the judge is Neil Gorsuch. He was selected by Donald Trump to be the one to fill the seat vacated by the death of Antonin Scalia, the conservative on the Supreme Court. So, what are you most concerned about? Are you more concerned about the possibility of a conservative-leaning Supreme Court or a liberal-leaning Supreme Court? It looks like it's going to be balanced the way it was when Antonin Scalia was there, because he was a staunch conservative, and it appears as if this guy, Judge Gorsuch, it appears as if that he is a staunch conservative in many ways. Nancy Pelosi just absolutely blasted him as being against everything from kids with autism to all kinds of things that we might consider to be important to be for, but sometimes you can extract that from court cases and it doesn't really accurately reflect what somebody's attitude is. What scares you about a conservative-leaning Supreme Court? What rights might be affected? What scares you about a liberal-leaning Supreme Court? What rights might be affected there? And how much will any of our lives change, whether the Supreme Court leans conservative or leans liberal? I think sometimes we get caught up in hysteria here when maybe it's not going to make that much difference. I'm not saying this isn't important. It's a very important thing that presidents do. The Supreme Court is, I guess in my opinion, it's the most important branch of government because it interprets the laws that are passed based on the Constitution. If you want to join us with a comment this afternoon, our number is 260-1870. Area code 504-260-1870, and our text is 870-870. Here's our Bernie Jago opinion poll. Whom do you place most of the blame on for the tense gridlock in Washington? And we've got Democrats now doing what Republicans did. And so the next time there's a Democrat in the White House, then Republicans are going to do what the Democrats are doing. We talked about this a lot yesterday and the day before. And there was a lot of talk about this on some of the cable news channels this morning, this gridlock. So, whom do you place most of the blame on? 26% say Republicans. 42% say Democrats. 10% say mainstream media. And 23% say us, the American people. And I personally believe that we are the ones responsible. Because the politicians reflect us. They're divided because they're trying to appeal to you. The Democrats want to have a strong stand against a Trump nominee to appease and support their base. The Republicans did that to appease and support their base. So it's what the base is feeding both parties that really leads to this gridlock. So I think we need to step back and accept a lot of responsibility. I know it would be easy to say all of the above, but that's why I carefully had the question worded. Who do you place most of the blame on for the tense gridlock in Washington? Give us your opinion by going to our website, WWL.com. And if you want to join us, our number is 260-1870. Area code 504-260-1870, and our text is 870-870. Here's what Donald Trump said last night in announcing his Supreme Court nominee choice.
When Justice Scalia passed away suddenly last February, I made a promise to the American people. If I were elected president, I would find the very best judge in the country for the Supreme Court.
And here's what Judge Neil Gorsuch had to say about being the Supreme Court Justice designate.
I pledge that if I am confirmed, I will do all my powers permit to be a faithful servant of the Constitution and laws of this great country.
And I guess in some ways they all say that. I don't know about you, but I'm really bothered by the idea that politics comes into play here, because the Supreme Court should not be about politics. It should be about interpreting the Constitution. And I guess we're never far as human beings from our political ideology. We're never far from our political instincts. Therefore, the decisions that we make, the way we see things, the way we interpret things, is a reflection of who we are. So I guess it's just part part of the system. But there shouldn't be a litmus test for people getting on the Supreme Court. It should be about those who can best interpret the law. Because there are problems, believe me, for conservatives, there would be problems if the Supreme Court went extremely conservative. And even for liberals, there would be a problem if the Supreme Court went extremely liberal. There are things that we do and rights that we have that might be threatened by a court leaning strongly to the right or strongly to the left. And it's not as much about rallying around your political party or your ideology as much as it is hoping that the right person gets in there to interpret the laws in the right way. From New Orleans, Bob, you're on WWL. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Scoop. How you doing?
I'm good.
Hey, listen, I agree with you. Your summation of the courts, Supreme Court specifically, playing a huge role in our nation's future and maybe the world's future.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to tell you, I don't think that the gridlock is caused by either party, the American people, presidents. I think it's caused by lobbyists. I think there's so much money parlayed around to control the power in both parties, in both cases, by favoritism. And that favoritism is not necessarily a political party issue, it's a financial issue caused by pharmaceuticals and, gosh, we could go down the list and spend a lot of time talking about it. But the sheer amount of money that's contributed to political campaigns is ultimately where we end up, I think, with gridlock. What do you think?
Bob, I think it's a really good observation, but I still put it back on